Welcome to The Keep, the Employee Experience Podcast. Your host, Greg Weiss, brings together experts from around the world sharing their insights on creating amazing employee experiences. Having the wrong attitude about their people can cost businesses a fortune. Having the right attitude will build success. Over to you, Greg.
Thanks, Angela. So in this episode of The Keep, I spoke with Peter Lancken, who is currently a non-executive director of Kennards Hire. Peter was and continues to be instrumental in the Kennards Hire culture. Today, Kennards Hire is rated as one of the top 7 greatest places to work in Australia. Hey, I'm Greg Weiss and welcome to The Keep. I'm here in the studio with Peter Lancken. Peter really impressed me with his understanding of culture and values. In fact, as a leader within business, it's sadly rare to find somebody who's got such passion about culture and values. Tell me a little bit about your background before we go deeper into those culture and values.
Well, I've been a renter, I guess, for 35 years. So soon after I came out of university with a civil engineering degree, I got recruited into a large British multinational that rented scaffolding and formwork and other types of things. Then in 1994, I joined the Kennards organisation, and at that stage, Kennards employed less than 100 people. It had, I think, less than 20 stores, and was just a little boutique, hire and rental business in mainly Sydney and a couple of stores in Brisbane.
And your impact on Kennards, what really impressed me. So we're going to use today's time with each other with Kennards as the motif. Mm-hmm. Peter, just with regards to Kennards, just explain about that growth. What's happened over the last 20 plus years that you've been involved with the business?
It's roughly 25 years I've been involved with the family. I ran the company for 15 of those years. I chaired the board for, I think, roughly 5 years. And today I remain on the board as a non-executive director. Really, over that period of time, the company has grown from, as I said, probably less than 20 stores to now 180 locations in
Huge
Australia.
Growth.
Yeah. We, I think, employ 1,700 people, so it's a significant sort of employer now, and we're in both Australia and New Zealand. So it's been a very successful growth story for what started a modest family business. It is still 100% family owned, and the company this year is celebrating its 70th year in business. So it's a business that is, I guess, it's endured. It's endured through the decades, and it's a good story.
Great story. In fact, I understand it now turns over about $500 million Australian dollars. And what is also impressive, and this is going to be a great lead into the amazing story that is Kennards, but Kennards today, in a major engagement survey, is the 7th best place to work in Australia. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, we were, I guess, really, really proud of the fact that in the last Great Place to Work survey, we placed 7th in businesses above 1,000 employees. So, and we've been using that survey, I think, for probably 5 years now, and have consistently improved in our engagement with staff over that period of time. So,
which is pretty impressive because we're talking about a hire business. We're talking about equipment down and dirty, and yet what we're finding is that there are companies like Atlassian, pretty sexy, other companies like that. This is a company that does down and dirty stuff. So that brings us into something which is the secret sauce. Culture and values is part of that secret sauce. Let's talk about that. There are 4 values that Kennards has, and I've got them here in a newsletter that you've shared with me earlier. And as I'm unfurling this, it says fair dinkum, one family, taking hire, and every customer a raving fan. Now, for international audiences, they won't know what fair dinkum is. So let's go through them one by one. What is fair dinkum?
Well, fair dinkum,
and why?
Obviously, fair dinkum is a well-coined Australian sort of saying, but what fair dinkum means in our organisation is really genuineness, authentic. Being authentic. Doing what you say. I think it's about honesty, integrity. It's all of those sort of values that are represented by fair dinkum, and it's a value that resonates very, very clearly with our people.
Okay, so fair dinkum. And in fact, our Prime Minister currently, Scott Morrison, is using the term fair dinkum a fair bit in his campaign.
And he stole it off us, obviously.
Obviously, he must buy from Kennards.
Yeah.
Okay, the second one is one family. What's that all about?
Well, one family is that value speaks to us looking after each other in the business. So, it talks towards having a safe sort of attitude to everything we do, making sure that, all of our people go home safely every day. It is really looking after each other in the sort of sense that, if someone's got issues, we're conscious of that and we work with that. It's really what you expect in your own family. It's all those values that we all take that into the business. And obviously we're a family company and we see that one family value as being part of the glue that keeps us all together.
And it's an important thing with the Keep. One of the purposes I have with this podcast is to help employers make their employees feel at home when they're at work. So one family would work there.
Yep.
Let's just go through the next one, which is taking hire.
Okay, well, this value really speaks to what I think is an incredibly important aspect of our business, and that is the quality of everything we do. So, taking hire means that we set high standards. We continuously improve everything we do, whether it be our equipment standards, whether it be our equipment reliability, whether it be the way we sort of train our people to do a better job. It is really all about, constantly striving to have a better and better Kennards. And in fact, central to the whole Kennards story is we actually don't value being the biggest at anything. We value being the best.
Right.
And so taking hire is really about setting very, very high standards. And we also look to that in the industry. Obviously, we share the industry with other people, other hire companies, and we believe it's incumbent on us to work to raise the standards of the industry so that, everyone benefits.
That's a great value. And the last one here is every customer a raving fan, not just an advocate, but a raving fan.
Correct. The test of Kennards doing a good job is our customers, acknowledging that they have got exceptional service, exceptional equipment. They've had exceptional advice from our people. We want to make all of our customers really rave about us, talk about us, and it's the best form of, if you like, marketing communication you can get. If you have customers telling your story, well, wow, what a wonderful thing.
Oh, yeah. So now what we can do is we can understand that with all that being done, that creates a great reinforcement of solid foundations for you becoming now the 7th best place to work in Australia. Let me ask you about the process, because there are thousands of different values that you can choose from. Why those 4?
Well, this journey in terms of, if you like, enunciating the values started with our board about, I think, in 2013. We met as a board and with some of our key leaders in the business specifically to try and, I guess, talk through what we should enunciate as our key values. Right. And that was quite a process. It took hours and hours of debate, discussion, storytelling to really land on what became these 4 core values of the business. And we then, with those values, we then embarked upon an Australia and New Zealand-wide, I guess, series of town hall style meetings where we got all of our people together and we talked through the 4 values. We used storytelling to help illustrate what those values really meant. We got feedback from them on how they understood those values, and really that was the starting point of these values becoming part of our everyday speak at Kennards.
Okay, so the process was canvassing senior leadership first and then having that agreement and then cascading down, but then getting complete buy-in.
Correct.
From, okay.
And we were prepared, by the way, to be tested on those values, and we were prepared upon the feedback from our people whether, they felt we had landed in the right spot. And, I think what was really refreshing is that we got no pushback on those values. They resonated with all of our people. And look, we've got a company which has, I think, the oldest serving person in the company has been with us for 45 years. Wow. We've got a bunch of people that have been with us for 20, 25 years. So, by the time we canvassed our people, we'd canvassed, folk who had a lot of, if you like, their own time invested in this company. And so we came out of that process pretty confident that we'd landed in the right spot.
And what I really like about what you're talking about in terms of making this stuff tangible also for employees is that you're collecting stories.
Correct.
So is it part of the DNA of Kennards still to collect stories?
Correct.
Okay, can you give me an example about how other employers are able to take those stories in their own organisations? How do they collect them? How do you collect those?
Well, we collect them by being, if you like, in touch and engaged with all of our people. The magazine you're looking at there is a way of spreading the word. So you'll see in that publication there we have stories from customers and customers telling us how they rave about the service they got. So that then keeps reinforcing this raving fans sort of component of the story. But yeah, I think you've got to tell stories to illustrate the why of what is going on. And at Kennards, it's the why is more important than anything. Why are we doing it this way? Why do we behave that way? Why do we serve customers that way?
So do we step back from values and look at the why?
I think the why has to be embedded in the values. You can't just pick a word and say that's, it's why you have sort of landed on that particular value and use the stories to reinforce that. And in all of the communications in the company, whether it be the managing director putting out his monthly newsletter, whether it be when we're talking about safety, we're always referring back to these core values. So you get a chance to, if you like, keep them alive by telling the stories.
Do you know what I love about values and what I love about what you're talking about here, Peter, is how important and foundational this is. So it allows you to make decisions based on these 4 values here. And there's no vagueness about this.
No.
There is a bedrock, a compass. There's a true north. As Stephen Covey talks about, there's a true north. Would you agree with that?
I do. And look, I think in decision-making, when all else fails, when you are struggling to, if you like, come to a conclusion or land on a decision, if you fall back to your values, it keeps you on the straight and narrow. It keeps you honest. So, I always think that, you can't make every decision by going to the policy handbook. There's a lot of stuff that you actually have to do through instinct, but these values, give you the right, as you say, compass when it comes to that.
Absolutely. And I think that's incredibly refreshing and very rare. We're going to come back to 2 things just after the break. I want to continue to explore the centrality of culture and values with Peter Lancken.
Eagle Ways Radio, the voice of small business.
People come and go in organisations all the time, and while that's normal, high employee turnover can be expensive. Greg Weiss and Career Support 365 have structured onboarding and offboarding services. They create the foundation for long-term success, protecting the employer and brand while helping people perform at their best and fit in quickly. Start strong, finish strong. To find out more, go to careersupport365.com.
So I'm back with Peter Lancken. We're talking about culture and values. And Peter, we were talking about storytelling and collecting stories. And I think that's something that's really foundational as well. So here we are, we're talking to employers out there. How would you suggest that they go about collecting stories from their experience, from their staff?
The employers collecting the stories?
Yes, actually, I won't say the word staff. I don't like that
word.
No,
people.
People, correct.
Yeah, we talk. We don't talk staff. We talk people.
Yeah.
So how do you go about the process?
How have you done that successfully with Kennards? I know that you have had them published in the newsletters.
Yes.
Curious if you could share with.
Oh, look, we use every opportunity we can to engage with our people and collect the stories. So in terms of the management structure we have, we've got lots of opportunities to basically be involved and engage with our people. I mean, the key management, including the board, travel around the branches regularly, and we spend time with our people to understand what's motivating them or otherwise. So I think you've got to put in the time. You can't manage this part of the process remotely. You've got to be out there with the troops, and you've got to be very genuine in the way that you engage with them.
Let me step back a little bit because this is a rare opportunity to hear from a senior leader in business whose fundamental principles are around values and then the inculcation of those values into an organisation. And for an organisation to be in the down and dirty, to be the 7th greatest place to work in Australia is a heck of an achievement. So what about your leadership team? How do you, as the driver of leadership, how do you tolerate if people just don't get culture and values?
Well, at the end of the day, you don't tolerate them. And I think that that's a very healthy thing in a culture where the misfits get found out. And you can't be apologetic about that. Either someone gets it and they really sign up for the cause to promote and to demonstrate those values, or if they don't get it, you've got the wrong person.
And that's an important thing. It's about fitting in or not fitting in, hence the term misfits.
Yes.
So, and the cost of recruitment and bad recruitment is phenomenal. So you've got clearly people who you've shared that have been with the organisation for decades.
Correct.
Okay, so they feel that they are part of the one family.
Yes. And look, since becoming even more focused on this people engagement, the whole cultural journey, we've seen our attrition rate of people more than half.
Amazing. Amazing.
So I can absolutely attest to the fact that if you're heading in the right direction with this, you'll end up with much higher quality people who stay with you for much longer, and that is a real benefit in terms of turning over people is a cost for any business.
It's a big cost. So I remember years ago when I was talking about down and dirty, I remember getting carpet laid, and the guy who was laying the carpet said, "Measure twice, cut once." I thought that was a fantastic statement. It sounds to me as if employers creating a great employee experience with their people, it's important for them to step back and really measure twice, cut once with this stuff.
It is. And look, you have much less rework if you have people who are experienced, who have been through the training program, who've been with the organisation for a long enough time to get it. Yeah, and we actually have a saying in Kennards, which is do it right the first time. Rework is expensive, and rework with people is expensive.
It certainly is. The cost of business of reworking is just phenomenal.
Correct.
With culture and values, it's important to recruit people who buy into your values and can fit into the culture. How do you test for that?
Well, it is definitely part of the recruitment process, and we do recruit with a format, and that format goes and tests an individual. And actually, we're more encouraged when we're recruiting to the values and the culture of the organisation than recruiting to the skills. We think we can teach skills. If you can't get the culture and value part, it doesn't matter how clever you are with the skills part.
Absolutely. So with the and that's refreshing also for employers to hear too, and that is that you hire on fit and you can always train up.
And it's incredible as well the amount of people we do recruit who come to us via referral. We very, very rarely have to put an ad in the newspaper. So we've got friends and family and people who just acknowledge from the outside looking in that Kennards is one of those companies, and you'd be surprised how many people come to us saying, "Hey, we'd love to work for your company."
How refreshing. And that would drive down the cost of your recruitment phenomenally as well, because this is not a high margin business.
No.
So any way that you can help to ensure profitability, sustainability of the organisation, and allow things to happen in a much more efficient way drives profit.
Yes. Yeah. Look, and certainly, having to constantly recruit to plug the leaky dike, to make up for a business that is not really looking after its people properly, I think that is just a waste of rations. So, if you recruit right and you look after your people, you genuinely, improve their life as they work for Kennards, and that's one of our, if you like, one family values that we would like to think that, you work for us and you're going to become a better person, you're going to have more skills, you're going to have better job prospects. That is very central to the way we look after people.
So Kennards sounds like a really great place to work. sounds like a place that I would like to work, and it sounds like a place that a lot of tradies would probably feel that, wow, if only my place could be like this, then I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable at home when I'm at work. Peter, I want to thank you very much for coming in and sharing the Kennards story. It is amazing. I also want to commend others to really learn from Peter about how to become a leader who is principled, who understands his values and how those values can translate through to an organisation for great profitability and success. So, Peter, I'm going to photocopy the newsletter. They'll be part of our show notes. I want to thank you very much. And so we've been listening to Peter, Mr. Values and Culture, Lancken.
Thank you very much, Craig.
Thank you for listening to another podcast produced by Eagle Waves Radio. For more amazing podcasts, go to our website, eaglewavesradio.com.au. You can like us on Facebook and, of course, follow us on Twitter. Ever thought of having your own podcast? We can help.